No, we can't hear you, Victor. I'm trying to figure out how to. Margarita, do you know how to potentially make it so that you can see everybody, or?
I think the host would have to select.
I can't hear you, Victor. I'm trying to figure out how to. Margarita, do you know how to potentially make it so that you can see everybody, or?
I think someone got unmuted because I could hear the delay.
It was my YouTube, the YouTube audio. It was a super delay. That was weird. Oh, me. Oh, would I have to promote everybody to panelists?
If you want to make me a co-host, I can see if I can look at the settings. You would just have to right click on my window. Yeah, so if you raise your hand, I can unmute you per person as you have questions. Or alternatively, if you would prefer, you can also just post your questions in the chat directly. But Victor, if you want to try now, for example, we should be able to hear me. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Thank you.
Yeah, I think next time probably just set it up as like a meeting instead of a webinar. You could probably unmute everybody if people wanted to talk for a moment.
So what we'll do for now is if you would like to be, if you were just going to follow along and watch and you don't necessarily want to talk or ask questions, you don't have to raise your hand. If you would like me to unmute you right now at the beginning, go ahead and raise your hand now, and I'll go ahead and unmute you.
All right, should we get started then? Cool. Okay. Well, hey everybody. Brian Trejo, co-director of the Atlanta Tequeria chapter. Before we did get started, I don't know how many of y'all here are part of Tequeria already, so I'll just do like a quick spiel, and then I'll hand it off to Yvonne there's my dog. Hand it off to Yvonne to introduce herself and VEGANX, what they're all about. But just in short, Tequeria is the largest community of Latinx tech professionals in the US. As of this past July, we're actually officially over the 10,000 member mark, which is super huge. Not only because it's exciting for us, but also exciting for us all to be able to like tap into people across the US to like ask any burning questions you may have, be it on like career advice or comida, vegan. I like to use it also to unwind with just like other people to talk about whatever it is we want to talk about, like mascotas. But yeah, Margarita, we have a few housekeeping notes, right, before we hop into the intro with Yvonne?
Yeah, so if you have any questions during the event, since we have a low number of people here right now, I'm just going to go ahead and add everyone and unmute you or add you so that you can ask your own questions. If you have questions for Yvonne during the event, you can either drop them into the chat here or you can ask them out loud. whatever you would prefer. If you go with the chat, I will just go ahead and read it for you. If you are following along live on our YouTube stream, we'll also be monitoring that chat. So if you have any questions there, feel free to drop them on YouTube as well, and we'll make sure to ask them to Yvonne. So with that being said, Yvonne, go ahead.
Hi, nice. Thank you for having me, first of all, Tequeria. I am founder of VEGANX, and VEGANX is, our slogan pretty much says it all. We're Mexican-made vegan. I started this after continuously posting my veganized, like, traditional Mexican dishes to Instagram. I would have people message me all the time, asking me, the locals in Atlanta at least, asking me where they could get the food, and eventually I kind of got the courage to share that food with others. And that's how VEGANX was pretty much born. And then with VEGANX, what our mission is to show our community that you can not necessarily go vegan. It's not what we're trying to make people do, but that you can adapt a more plant-based diet. You can add more plant-based foods to your diet and still keep that cultural aspect in your life, because there's this misconception that if you go vegan, you're turning your back on your culture. You're not able to eat what you've grown up eating, when in reality, any dish that is non-vegan in our culture can be easily veganized. So that's kind of like the mission behind that, and also to save animals, to help our planet, and to just be a healthier version of ourselves. But yeah, that's VEGANX. That's how VEGANX was born. And today we're going to be making some mushroom asada tacos. I chose this recipe because it's such an easy one, and it's one that you can also make your own as you go. You can add things. We're going to do this on spot, but the marinade that we're going to make for these tacos, you can actually leave overnight, add a little orange to it if you'd like. But yeah, it's super easy. So I hope any of you guys that are following along enjoy. All right, so we're gonna start with the salsa verde so that we have this ready at the end for our tacos. This is my go-to salsa for tamales, for tacos, pretty much anything. This is the salsa that I use. For the salsa, you're gonna heat up, you're gonna boil some water. I have about 1/4 of this pot full, and we're gonna do some tomatillos. I'm doing about 5 tomatillos, and it's the small ones. There's bigger tomatillos, but those give you a more tart flavor, so you wanna make sure you use the small ones. If you don't like a salsa to be too spicy, you can add a little bit more tomatillos and limit your jalapeños, or you can add more jalapeños and keep the 5 to 6 tomatillos if you like a more spicy salsa. So I'm adding the tomatillos, the jalapeños. I'm adding about 4 to 5 garlic cloves in there, as well as about 1/4 of a white onion. We're gonna let that boil. While that boils, if anybody has any questions for me, or any questions in general. This is super easy salsa to make. I like mine spicy personally. And sometimes I even add, I did it today actually, I add a red jalapeno in there just to change the color a little bit, but the taste is the same.
Are there any other jalapeno or peppers that you like to add to this salsa or other salsas?
Are there any other peppers?
Yeah, like if you really wanted to increase the spice.
If you want to increase the spice, I would say a serrano pepper will help you increase that spice. There's also I mean, for this specific salsa, I pretty much keep it like this. You can't increase the spice with the jalapeños themselves. You just decrease the amount of tomatillo and increase the amount of jalapeños in the salsa and adjust it that way. So as you toy with this recipe, you'll kind of learn what you personally like. But yeah, serrano pepper, I mean, if you want it to be more spicy, you can add that. If you want a more mild sauce and the red sauce to go in like dishes like tamales and such, I would say a lot of guajillos to kick that spice up, even a chile de árbol. But those are, I wouldn't put guajillo or chile de árbol in this salsa necessarily. So as this boils, you're gonna start to see jalapeños and tomatillos kind of change colors, and that's when we'll know this is ready. And we're gonna be blending this with just a little chunk of cilantro and some salt.
So how long is the boiling process?
It's usually pretty fast. This single stovetop that I have is a little slower. Doesn't go as high as my regular stove, so it takes a little longer, but on your stoves, I mean, you can have this salsa done in less than 10 minutes.
This salsa,
what was that?
yeah, my question is, can you also use this salsa for tamales, you say, right?
Yes.
And
So
also, basically are the same ingredients?
Same ingredients, yes. So I do use this salsa for my tamales, for the filling of the tamales and also to eat the tamales. For the filling, I do it exactly as I'm doing it right now. And then I add it to my jackfruit after I've prepped my jackfruit. Add it to my jackfruit, and you have, you let it boil with the jackfruit, and then you have the tamal filling. And that would be the salsa verde tamal. And then I use the same exact salsa recipe to top the salsa with the tamales. So this is the same one for both.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I tried the tamales with the salsa verde for the first time 2 weeks ago.
Oh, you
and
tried
those
it?
were, yeah, and those were 2 weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
One of my coworkers, she made the tamales with salsa verde.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God, those tamales were so good. Yeah, so delicious.
Those are actually my favorite. The salsa verde tamales and the tamales con rajas and queso. Those are actually two of my favorites. Those are tied. But yeah, this recipe, you can definitely use it for those tamales verdes.
Yeah, those the tamales verdes eran de puerco.
Okay.
Yeah.
We use jackfruit. Jackfruit is so we pull the jackfruit and we use that in place of either the pork or the chicken.
Oh,
Yeah, I had a question about that. Jackfruit is a new superfood, right? How does the consistency? I've never had that. Is that
You've never had jackfruit?
Never.
Okay. So there's two different jackfruits. There's a variation of jackfruits that you can get actually. So I'm able to find it at like Asian markets, and you'll see it as the actual fruit. The actual fruit I wouldn't recommend for tamales. That's more for like barbecues and those type of dishes because it's very sweet. Or you can eat it solo. But that is very sweet. What you look for tamales specifically, they have jackfruit in brine or jackfruit in water. And those come in canned forms. So the jackfruit in either the brine or the water, what I do is I rinse it out. Once I take it out of the can, rinse it out, I boil it first. Boil it for maybe about 15 to 20 minutes, and just to get all of that brine out. And then some people like to bake it as well to get that brine out. You can do either or. You'll get the same outcome, but afterwards it kind of absorbs the flavors that you put into it. So if you cook it with the salsa verde, it honestly does have that pulled like chicken feel to it, texture to it. So anything that you put into that jackfruit, it will start to taste like it. I use the jackfruit for the salsa verde tamales and for the tamales rojos as well. And it's really good. I've even had some people tell me that their family didn't believe they were vegan. So
I'm actually here in Atlanta, and I have had her tamales, and the texture is very, very close to pork.
Very similar, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. For me, I've pretty much grown up vegetarian my entire life. So as far as like textures, comparing the textures to like the actual meat textures, it's kind of difficult for me. So I always base it off of what other people say. But yeah, I've heard a lot of that. Either their families didn't believe they're vegan, or it's very close to the real thing. But all of the same authentic flavors that we use in the real dishes is what I use to veganize these other dishes. I just like to replace the meat element with like jackfruit or eggplant and stuff like that, mushrooms like we're using today. This is starting to boil. Is anybody cooking along?
I am very excited.
Awesome. Are you making your salsa?
I am. It's boiling right now.
Awesome.
I had another question. What about tofu? Is that, again, I've never had tofu either, but is that something that you can substitute also?
For tofu, so I'm more of a plant-based. For myself personally, I like more, like I said, the eggplant, the jackfruit, and mushrooms, but I have had tofu. My favorite way of cooking tofu is like doing the scrambled tofu, and it's essentially like a scrambled egg. We use turmeric to color it, but all of the flavors, it absorbs it really well too. So with tofu, you can pretty much do anything. You can do it scrambled, which is the way I like it, or you can do it fried. But it's also one of those things that like jackfruit absorbs everything that you put into it. I've had really good tofu, and I've had really bad tofu. It just depends on the way that you season it. But yeah, it's a good alternative as well. Are you looking into trying more of these?
Yeah, you know, my daughter, I'm not, you know, I'll try different things, but my daughter's full on vegan. She's been vegan for a couple years now. So I always try to get very creative with dinner because.
That's awesome. How old is your daughter?
She's 19 now.
19. Okay, so you do some cooking for her.
I have to do it right. I have to do it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've been vegan. I honestly I went vegan overnight, so I don't know the exact date, but I've been vegan for a good maybe 4 years. But I grew up vegetarian before that, so it wasn't a very hard transition for me, and not much changed other than I stopped eating cheese. So, but yeah, it's when I went vegan that I actually started to learn about all of the tofus and jackfruits and all of that stuff, and it's fun to play with. You'll see once you do decide to try that jackfruit or that tofu, that anything that you put into it absorbs really well.
Now, you know, I'm glad you brought that up because cheese is hard for me. I love cheese. So are there any good substitutes? I've tried Daiya cheese, but it just doesn't.
It's not good. Yeah, it's not good.
Is there anything that you can recommend for?
Yeah. Cheese was actually, before I went vegan, I'd already stopped drinking milk for a long time. I didn't eat eggs for a long time. So cheese was the thing that I had to give up, and it was the hardest to replace for me as well. I did try the Daiya cheese first. That was my first one, and I absolutely did not like it. But eventually I did find some brands, and even now there's even more than when I did go vegan. BioLife is one that I highly, highly recommend. And another one is Chao cheese. It's CHAO, and you can find both of these pretty much anywhere now. Kroger has them, Walmart, Publix, Whole Foods. but those two cheeses are, in my opinion, the closest to the real deal. I recommend you try those.
Is it child cheese? And what was the first one?
BioLife.
BioLife.
BioLife. VIO Life. Yeah, those two are really, really great. And then also, I mean, you can also, one of my favorite things that I've done during this quarantine was play around with different recipes. And I've already created vegan queso fresco using almonds. And then I recently made a mozzarella cheese myself using nutritional yeast and like a little bit of fermented tofu. So like playing around with those things and like researching, you can also, it's really easy to make cheese at home and kind of play around with the ingredients and get what you like. But yeah, I mean, I get it. You want the easy accessibility to be able to go to the store and just pick up cheese. In that case, I would say BioLife or Cheo.
Do you have a So you have a recipe for queso fresco that's vegan?
I haven't written it up, but I can tell you what's in it. So it's almonds. It's really easy. It's almonds, it's water, lemon, lime, salt, and the most important ingredient in the queso fresco is agar powder. Agar powder is this powder that you can find in the Asian markets. And what it does is it gives it that like consistency that cheese has, and also you can use it if you're making like vegan jello or anything like that. It gives it that gelatin consistency. But what I do is I blend the almonds with water, about a tablespoon of salt, juice of 1 lime, blend that all together, and then in a separate pan, I heat up about 1.5 cups of water, add about 1.5 tablespoons of the agar powder, and about 1.5 tablespoons of masa. And this can be like masa de tortillas or masa de tamales, whatever masa you have, or cornstarch, either or. Before you turn the stovetop on, you blend that agar, the water, and the masa together very well. And then once it's blended very well, you turn on the stove and continue to blend that, and you'll start to see it change colors. Once it fully changes colors, it starts to bubble and the bubbles don't go down. Then you combine what you blended in the blender, you combine what you have on the stove in a bowl, and you mix it well together very fast because it does harden really quickly. And then you can use either, you can use a cheesecloth, or if you don't have that, even a wet, damp towel. You put that on a mold. It can be, I mean, honestly, you can use like a bowl like this. You put that over it, pour in your mix that you've mixed in the bowl, and leave it in the fridge overnight, and you have a queso fresco. It's super easy.
Nice. I'm trying that this weekend.
Yeah, let me know how it is. You can send me a DM if that was a lot. You can send me a DM and we'll get that written up for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If you're interested in following Yvonne, I just posted her Instagram to the chat as well here in Zoom and on YouTube. If you want to tag her with anything you make, either the cheese or the tacos we're making tonight.
I love that. I love seeing everybody's posts. That's what keeps me motivated, honestly. So is everybody from like different states on here?
San Francisco Bay Area here.
Awesome.
I'm from Washington, D.C.
Washington, awesome. Have y'all seen the vegan scene kind of growing in your area? Because in Atlanta, it's been blowing up.
Well, I work in a restaurant, and we had 2 different vegan options, like tofu and also cauliflower.
Cauliflower, okay. I love using cauliflower. I use cauliflowers when I do like the, I don't do soy as much personally. Like I said before, I try to stick to more of a plant-based. So I use cauliflower when I'm making like cauliflower wings. I really love those. And I've even done cauliflower to do like a Mexican dish before. I did chicharrones, but I used cauliflower instead of the pork rinds.
Mm.
Yeah.
We cook the cauliflower like we sauteed the cauliflower for like 3 minutes. Then we add a sauce that we make here in the restaurant, which is lime juice, sugar, sambal, salt, and oil. And then it tastes really good when you add that sauce.
I love it. That sounds amazing. Anything cauliflower you can sign me up for.
Mm-hmm.
How do you prepare it to make chicharrones? That sounds fascinating.
Chicharrones, yes. I made it for myself, for me to eat. I make it using the cauliflower. But I have also made it using soy, and soy is more of the real thing because it gets that texture that chicharron has. But yeah, they're both great. All right, so it's starting to change colors a little bit here, so we'll blend this all together in about a minute or two. How's yours looking, Margarita?
Mine are starting to change color pretty decently.
Awesome.
And I see we have a couple new folks trickling in. So for those just joining us who missed earlier announcements, as people are coming in, I am unmuting you so you can talk. If you have any questions for Yvonne while we're going, feel free to ask them. If not, drop it in the chat.
Yes. While we wait for that to finish boiling, I'm gonna go ahead and marinate the mushroom. So, which is going to be our mushroom asada. So in a bowl, I'm going to go ahead and add the mushroom. That way it will start to get all of those flavors in there while we continue to work on the salsa. Okay, so to the mushroom, I'm going to add liquid smoke. And I'm going to add my amino acid as well. If you don't have amino acid, you can use soy sauce. But the amino acid does give you more nutrients, and it's lower in sodium. I'm also going to add a little bit of oil to the mushroom. And then I have some onion powder, paprika, and minced garlic. So I'm gonna add all of that in there. And I'm going to start to blend it well, mix. That way it starts to get all of those flavors. And like I said, this is an easy recipe and you can easily adjust this as you go to your personal liking. I don't add any extra salt because the amino acid does have salt, but if you need to, you can as we go. And like I said, this marinade is one that you can even put this into a Ziploc and leave it in the refrigerator overnight. That way it gets all of these flavors in it a little longer, but it's one that's just as great done on spot. For a soy asada that I do, I actually go a little bit deeper and I do add oranges and lime and all of the things that are more traditionally in carne asada that's grilled at parties. But for this one, I like to keep it simple. It's a simple little taco recipe that's good and will fill you up. All right, that is mixed well, so I'm gonna go ahead and set that to the side while we finish working on this salsa. Okay. Right. Is anyone on here vegan? Or trying to go vegan?
I am actually, my family and I are mostly plant-based.
Awesome, I love it. Your entire family?
Yeah, my husband and the kids and myself as well. It's been
That's
hard though for like uh with us we've had trouble with like adapting to like comida mexicana, like having the like enchiladas and los chiles rellenos and it kind of being similar. So that's where we kind of struggle a little bit. But a lot of the food we do have is like Asian inspired because it's easier to
yeah.
prepare.
The chiles rellenos are one that I have not conquered yet. It's still a work in progress. I've tried maybe 2 different variations of those, and they haven't been my favorite. So that's one that I struggle with too. Enchiladas, though, I would, I don't know, have you used jackfruit as the filling for enchiladas?
We tried the jackfruit once with to make like barbecue pork, like pulled pork,
Mm-hmm.
and that was pretty good. Y luego we tried them to make what was it, como pipián?
Uh-huh.
But the flavor of the fruit still came through, like, and so so I don't know if I maybe didn't
Did
cook
you use
it.
the actual fruit?
No, de lata.
De lata, okay. Yeah, I would, do you boil it or do you bake it?
I boiled it that time.
Boil it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's what I typically do is I boil it. Maybe you should try, I know now I've seen it more, I didn't see it before and also I would always get the brine, but now I see that they are starting to come out with the jackfruit and water.
Hmm.
And if you try that one, you don't have to, I would still recommend boiling it, but you don't have to boil it as much because it won't have that brine flavor in it. So I would recommend that. And then another thing I actually recommend is eggplants, which I haven't seen a lot of people use, but it's something that I have played with during this quarantine. That is honestly my favorite. That's my favorite for tacos or fillings or anything. What I do is with that eggplant, I rinse it out, I cut the skin off, and I shred it. And then I let it sit in a bowl with water, salt, and lime for about 30 minutes just to get that flavor out. And eggplant, in my opinion, absorbs all of the flavors much better, 10 times better than jackfruit.
Oh, interesting. I've
I would recommend that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna give that a try. So you peel it though, right?
Yeah, you peel it and then with like I don't know what it's called, with like one of those cheese graters, a grater.
Yeah, yeah.
You can grate it and then once you grate it, add it to a bowl with some water, some lime, and some salt, and let it just sit there for about 30 minutes to get all of that out. And it makes a perfect like texture for me. I actually just recently made it for birria. I did a vegan birria using it, and I've done a vegan birria using the jackfruit. Same ingredients that go into both, but the eggplant one tasted much better in my opinion.
Awesome. I'm gonna try that.
Yeah, you should try that and then do a little bit of the queso fresco on top of those enchiladas.
Cool. Thank you so much.
All right, so my chiles and my onion, all of that is looking awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and take it out. I'm going to add it to the blender. After I've added all of this to my blender, I'm going to add a little bit of the same water that it boiled in. But the key to this salsa is that you do not want to add too much water. So it's gonna be about 1/4, and that's gonna be more than enough for this. Got all my garlics, all of my chiles, tomatillos, and I'm going to add my cilantro. I hold the salt until the end because I like to adjust that. So it's,
Mientras tanto, we have a question for the soy asada. Do you add orange juice or orange chunks?
for the soy, I add the juice of the orange. So el jugo de una naranja. Depends on the amount you're making. If you're making just a little bit for you and your family, just add el jugo de una naranja. So the juice of 1 orange, maybe about the juice of 2 limes. And a lot of the same, like the liquid smoke amino acid, I also use that in the soy-based asada. All All right, I'm gonna add a little bit of water to this. Like I said, you don't wanna add too much, maybe about a fourth. I've already added my cilantro, so we're gonna go ahead and blend this. All right, and once that's blended, I'm just gonna transfer it to a bowl. Mine's pretty spicy, I can already tell by the smell. So again, if you don't like too spicy, you can adjust it by adding a little bit more tomatillo, maybe a jalapeno less. I like mine spicy. And then to the salsa, like I said, I like to go ahead and add the salt afterwards. That way I can adjust it as needed. You just need a little bit of salt. And then you'll mix it all there well together, and you have your salsa verde that we will be using for the tacos at the end. Same one you'll use for tamales. All right, so now that we have that salsa, we're gonna start on the asada tacos. So I'm gonna heat up some oil. You can use veggie oil or you can use olive oil. I prefer to use the veggie oil, so I'm heating up a little bit of that. And once that's a little hot, we're gonna add in our serrano peppers and our onion and saute that. Serrano peppers on the recipe, I put optional because if you don't like that little kick of spice, you can leave that out. But personally, I like that little spice and I feel like it gives it a very good flavor. So I'm gonna leave that in. You can see our mushroom is releasing a little bit of liquid as well. How's everybody been doing during this quarantine crazy era that is 2020?
Personally, I've been experimenting with all kinds of vegan dishes.
Same. Same. Like I said, I've been in there making cheeses, and eggplant is one of my new favorites. Mushroom is also actually a new one that I didn't like mushrooms before going vegan, so now I love them.
Yeah. Portobellos, man, those are really good.
Yes, they're all great. My favorite that I've had is I went to Mexico City and they use, it's like a white mushroom and it's called setas. They use that for a lot of things like tacos de alambre, veganized, all of that stuff, carnitas, all of that stuff, they use the setas. And I actually had it in a mole and it was amazing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Mexico City is actually really, they have a really, really big vegan scene.
That's good to know.
Yeah, if you ever go, I mean, I have a list. I've gone, my mom actually lives down there, so I go pretty frequently, and every time I go, I try at least 2 or 3 new places. I mean, it's endless.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been able to find that mushroom here, like in the States?
I have, yes. It's a little harder to find, but occasionally, I guess when it's in season, they'll have it at the Asian farmers market, but it's been a little bit harder to find. So I haven't been able to veganize as many dishes with that one. And another thing they use a lot in Mexico City that I found kind of hard to find here in the States is flor de calabaza.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they make like these quesadillas de flor de calabaza, and I've been dying to make them, but it's really, really hard to find it here.
Have you had huitlacoche?
I love it.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's also hard to
Huitlacoche or
find.
calabaza. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are my go-to like Mexican street foods when I go
Hmm.
down there.
There are very few. I don't know if you're in the what area you're in, but I'm in the Chicago area. There's like very few restaurants that actually have those too for like
Yeah.
quesadillas.
No, I haven't seen it at all here in Atlanta. Very rarely.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and add my serrano peppers and my onion. My oil is hot, so I'm gonna go ahead and add those to the pan and saute those. And then you're gonna saute these until the onion will start to turn a bit of a translucent color, and the serrano peppers will also start to change color a little bit. So once you start to see that, we'll be able to add our mushroom.
Is there onion on? I mean, is there oil on the pan or no?
Is there a what, sorry?
Oil?
Okay.
Aceite?
Aceite, sí. So the oil that I'm using, I said I was using veggie oil. You can use olive oil for these as well, but I personally, the taste of the olive oil comes through in my dishes, so I like that veggie oil a little bit better. Has anyone veganized any dishes this quarantine and kind of mastered and loved them?
Cinnamon rolls. I know it's not Mexican food, but the cinnamon rolls I make that are vegan are actually very good.
I love that. I can't bake. That's the one thing I will not try is baking. I think I tried to make like these vegan, I tried to follow a recipe and it was a video recipe of like vegan chocolate cookies and burned them, and I did her recipe of disgrace, so I don't even, props to you.
And I made churros. Those were really
Churros, I tried those too and I failed. I'm just gonna leave that to you guys because I can't. But no, it's awesome. I've been, like I said, the vegan scene here in Atlanta at least has been growing really rapidly. So we have somebody that's doing pan dulce now, and I'm so excited for that.
Hold on. You said pan dulce?
Yeah, like conchas, carrenitos, pan de muerto, like all of that. We're starting to get here, which is just, it's mind blowing. It's amazing to me.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I
there's
think it's los esquinkles, right?
Sí, los escuincles. Yeah, they're friends of mine, and they're really great people, and yeah, they're blessing us with those conchas, and they've got Dia de Muerto pan coming and other awesome things that definitely keep up with them if you're in Atlanta. Have you tried their stuff, Margarita?
Yeah, one time they were at a pop-up that I went to like a couple months back. Well, I guess it was like 2 months back, but.
Oh, at a pop-up?
Or they were just like somewhere, I guess it was a pickup. I don't know. I follow them on Instagram too.
Okay, awesome. All right, so my onion and my onion is pretty translucent there, and my serrano peppers have started to change colors. So I'm going to go ahead and add in the mushroom blend that we have in our bowl. And then you want to saute that very well, and you'll see that the mushroom starts to change color as well. It'll start to darken. And I like to make mine extra like crispy. Like I said, I don't add salt to mine because the liquid amino already has that salty taste to it. But if you want to add a little bit of salt to yours, you can taste as you go. gonna let that do its thing for a little bit.
Where do you get your like inspiration or like recipe ideas from?
A lot of the stuff that I do comes directly from like dishes that my family has done, and just veganizing those. Like for the tamales, for example, I stopped eating those like years before going vegan because I was vegetarian at the time, and the family liked to kind of get together and make the tamales. Todas las tías, mi abuelita, my mom, everybody would just get together. And it was around that age where I was starting to observe what they did. And I noticed that they use manteca de puerco for the masa.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the end of tamales for me. So I didn't even toy with the idea of doing vegan tamales until I actually went vegan. And that was the first dish that I actually veganized. It took me about 2 years to get the consistency that I love now, but very well worth it. And then just traditional dishes like mole, chiles rellenos is one that I'm still trying to get. Champurrado, I just look at all of those like dishes that we grew up with, and I don't really follow any like vegan recipes or anything like that.
Cool.
I asked mi tia and my like mom a lot of like for consejos on what they use for their dishes originally, and go based off of that.
Cool. So how do you like your the masa? Because I made tamales like once, like growing up, you know, the same story, like with my grandma, my mom, and las tias, but nobody could ever replicate my grandma's tamales. And
Yeah.
so I tried it once because I was so upset of like, there was one Christmas when we were like all making tamales and it just didn't come out well. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to do it by myself. And it was the one time they came out pretty decent, but that was before I was vegan. And now I'm like trying to figure out, like, I can never get the masa. The masa is the one that gets me, the consistency for the masa.
Yeah, so what masa are you using?
So we were getting like masa from like you know, a tortilleria.
Okay.
And I've debated on using maseca because it's más, you know, it's more refined.
Mm-hmm. That's actually what I use. I use maseca during this like pandemic situation. I think they stopped producing maseca de tamal because they were more focused on producing the maseca para tortillas.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to try a lot of other different brands, and none of them gave me the same result. So I would say that maseca is definitely like the top and the one that I like to stick to. As far as the manteca de puerco or manteca that they use in the original recipe as a replacement for that, I tried everything. Like I tried the coconut oil, I tried the vegetable.
The Crisco?
Yeah, I tried that. None of it was giving me, like, they were good, but I had that aftertaste in my mouth always, and I didn't like it. So what finally gave me the result that I love was veggie oil. Like I actually used the brand 123. I used that, and you kind of have to, I don't have any measurements. Like I said, I don't usually write down my recipes. I do it as I go and taste as I go. So you add oil as you go, and you just want to make sure. A trick that my tias taught me is like, once you have your masa prepared, you want to kind of like slap your hand or whatever on it, and if the oil comes off onto your hand perfectly or onto your glove perfectly, whatever you're using, then that means it's ready. It's got the right amount of oil. But yeah, that veggie oil and veggie broth, a mix of those both gave me that consistency that I was looking for.
Oh, okay.
The aftertaste.
Do you have a ratio between like the veggie broth and the oil?
So I can tell you that for like a whole bag of maseca, I will typically use about almost a bottle of the veggie oil. Like I said, that one it depends. You kind of do it as you go, but almost a whole 12 ounce of that. I don't know if it's 12 or 8 ounce, but a whole like bottle of that oil. And then as far as like veggie broth, typically 2 to 3. But the masa, you have to remember that the masa eats a lot of liquid. So you want to make sure that it's got that right consistency. So about 2 to 3, more going towards 3.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna
You
experiment.
know it's ready, and you know it's the right consistency when you're putting it onto that hoja, and just, I don't know, the way that I grew up doing it is like we use a spoon and we spread the masa out onto the hoja. If that masa spreads easily, that means the masa is perfect in consistency wise. I know there's some people that kind of just do a little bit of masa on the hoja and then put the filling in the masa and wrap it that way.
Yeah.
But I never grew up doing that.
Yeah, we did the same thing with like con las cucharas, embarrar con las cucharas.
Yeah, same. That's what we do.
Yeah.
Got our mushroom still cooking here. Like I said, this single burner is a little slower than actual stove, so it takes a little longer, but this recipe is one that's done really, really fast. And I just like to get it a little crispier. And you'll see the mushroom start to get that excess liquid in it. You can either leave it in there, or you can take it out, whatever you prefer. I'm gonna leave it in there for today.
If we wanted them a little crispier, like you said, we would take out the liquid, right?
Yeah, you can take out a little bit of that liquid, yeah. You can just transfer it onto a bowl or, yeah. You're starting to see that too?
Yes, and it smells so, so good.
Yes, it's a great little easy recipe if you're looking for something quick. And then they have these tortillas taqueras that are smaller in size. If you use those, you can get more tacos out of this and do it more like a family meal. I didn't have any, so I'm using the regular tortilla size. And I typically, El Milagro is my favorite brand personally. And out of these, you can get about 4 tacos.
If you were to double the recipe, would you then also double the liquid smoke and the liquid amino? Or would you use the same, roughly the same amount of liquid smoke and liquid amino to like double the mushrooms?
No, you would, if you're using double the mushrooms, I would double up on the liquid amino and paprika. I would, depending on the spice level again that you like, you can either leave it as is or double or add a little bit more to it. But the liquid amino and the liquid smoke, I would double it. Just to make sure it gets all in there.
The chat's asking when the cookbook is going to be coming out.
I've had that question so many times, and I want to, I really do, but it's kind of, I'm all over the place right now, so it's kind of hard to like sit down, because I feel like for a cookbook, you have to really sit down and focus and try all of these. I recently moved to a new place, so maybe once I get all of my furniture in and everything, and I can actually like invite a friend to try the foods, because also I don't want to eat all of it, then maybe we can talk cookbooks. But yeah, it's something I would love to do someday. Does anyone follow any like vegan Instagrammers that do have like cookbooks or are like known for Mexican cuisine and veganizing Mexican foods?
Yes, Dora's table, Dora's Mexican table.
Dora, she's so nice.
Yeah, I watching her.
Actually, Dora and Eddie Garza were the two like vegan with big followings that I came upon during. Eddie Garza actually was one of the reasons I went vegan. My cousin, I had a conversation with one of my cousins about the dairy industry one night. He's from Texas. He was in town, so it was the last night he was here, and we had that conversation. And then the very next day, I woke up to a message from a different cousin. And again, like I said, I was vegetarian. So she sent me a link of Eddie Garza's Instagram profile. And she was like, I think you would love this. And so that was the first time that I really related to somebody, because growing up Mexican, like in a big family, I was the only vegetarian. And I was kind of seen as like the odd one, the weird, you know, la prima que only eats rice and beans when she comes to parties. So seeing Eddie Garza and the way he veganized dishes and stuff really like amazed me. And that was the day that I actually decided I'm gonna be vegan and never really looked back from then. And I got to meet him he did a demonstration at the Veg Fest here in Atlanta. So I actually got to meet him there. And then Dora, I've connected with through Instagram, and they're both so amazing.
My gosh, he's got some amazing dishes on his thing. I just looked for him. He's got some rellenos too.
Yeah, Dora has chile rellenos, yes. That's one of the recipes I've tried, but honestly, like me, like I don't know, no me salió bien. So I'm trying to figure out a way where I feel like everybody has their own, like you gotta find your niche and see how you like to do it. Hers were great, but I wanna still keep trying new, like add in or take out things from that recipe and see what I like and come up with something of my own.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, she's got everything on her website though.
Okay.
Sorry. But yeah, Eddie Garza. I'm trying to think of others that I follow that are great.
I mean, that are non-Mexican. I follow like what is it? Forks Over Knives. You know, like the big.
Who are they?
Forks Over Knives. They're from like the documentary.
Oh, I haven't followed. I haven't seen them.
They even have an app like where it's like a bunch of recipes.
I love that. One of my favorite non-vegan pages that I follow is Sweet Simple Vegan. And then there's also, it's Liz. I don't want to mispronounce her last name, but I think it's MEI. But she does a lot of like Asian dishes. In her Instagram, she does a lot of follow alongs on her stories too. Her Instagram is awesome. And all of these people I'm talking about, I'll leave them up on VEGANX tonight. That way, if you've been on the live and you want to go and check them out, they'll be there for you to easily access.
You know, I had a question. So sometimes when we travel, finding vegan options is kind of challenging. We try to use Holy Cow, I think is the app my daughter uses.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any good apps other than that to find vegan restaurants while traveling?
Yeah. I just use Google. So I'll go on Google and I'll put wherever, if you go on Google and you search like vegan near me, it will populate either the vegan restaurants that are near you or the restaurants with vegan options that are near you. So that's something I use too. Happy Cow is one I have used. And then also, of course, there's PETA. But yeah, I think anywhere you go now, it's pretty easy to find vegan options. I remember when I first went vegan, I said about 4 years ago. I mean, it was a different world here in Atlanta. I went to, I think it was a festival in Piedmont Park, which is this big park in Atlanta. And the only vegan thing I found was churros con salsa. Like that was it. And I was so sad about it. And that's kind of what fueled me to start like posting on Instagram and sharing recipes and stuff. And then doing VEGANX to provide those options as well at these events. But now if you go to the events, Piedmont Park as well, you'll see like a lot of vegan options you can choose from, whether it's Mexican food or like soul food, you'll find it all.
Yeah, I think, when we were in Barcelona, we did a vegan food tour. I mean, they have vegan options everywhere. Greece, Portugal, Spain, Italy. I was surprised to find how many options were out there.
Yeah. Yeah, like, that's one of the things I want to do is just kind of travel and try all these different places. Right now, I haven't been able to go back to Mexico City this year, but I did go before the world got crazy. I got to go in February and a few times before that, and like I said, the scene there is amazing. If you ever go to Mexico City, look up, like there's Blandi Cafe, there's vegan taquerias on the street. Gracias Madres is one of my favorites. There's just a lot that you can choose from. I actually plan my trips to Mexico City around the food that I'm going to try.
That's awesome. There's this one vegan taqueria in Chicago. It's called La Reina del Sur.
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh. Like my husband and I were like in love. It's too far from us. But they were the best tacos de asada, de al pastor. They even had like pozole, and it was just so you wouldn't know that it wasn't like pork. Un pozole verde. It was so good.
That's amazing. Chicago, I actually followed this business from Chicago that I want to travel to Chicago just to try their stuff. They do desserts and they do vegan conchas, vegan cakes. Like they do all of that. They're a Latinx business as well. I think it's called Pink Pasteleria.
Oh, yes.
Do you know them?
Yeah, I've been following them too. I've been waiting for like a birthday party to go order a cake from them.
Yes, I messaged them telling them, I'm like, once this is all over, I'm going to Chicago and I'm going just to try your stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they're amazing. I love everything they post, and everything they do is like so beautiful.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So my mushroom is pretty much done. It's changed colors and the consistency that I like. So I'm gonna go ahead and just place that to the side, and I'm gonna get my tortillas ready. And for this one, I'm just using the, like I said, Milagro store-bought tortillas, but if you want to make homemade tortillas, that's always better. Okay. For my tortillas, what I like to do is I like to actually dip them a little bit in the mushroom to get a little bit of that oil off of the mushroom. And then I place it on the comal to get those heated. That way they get a little bit of that flavor in there. Okay. Put those up there.
Brian and I apparently made the same mistake, which is to touch our face immediately after chopping the serranos.
No, that's the worst. When you're chopping chiles, gloves are great. Gloves are very great. That's happened to me when I do like the when I do anything with like rajas, because poblano peppers aren't really spicy, but when you cut them up, they can cause the same thing to your hand. So I've made that mistake a bunch of times myself.
Have you tried making tamales with chiles poblanos?
Yeah, I use chiles poblanos as my, when I do rajas con queso. I do, it's honestly, it's so simple. I do just a variation of chile poblano and jalapeño peppers. Slice them up and mix them, seed them and mix them well. Add a little bit of salt to the peppers, and then I just add that to the tamal as the filling with a little bit of queso.
What kind of queso do you use?
I use, recently I've been, like I said, during this quarantine, quesos have been one of my favorite things to play with and veganize. So I've used mine, first, the one I've made more recently, but in the past I have done BioLife. BioLife melts super great, and to me it's one that tastes the most like authentic cheese.
BioLife?
BioLife.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's really, really easy to find it now. I mean, Kroger has it, Publix, I don't know if Walmart's a little harder to find the vegan stuff for me. But Whole Foods, Sprouts, all of them have it. And they've got an Instagram too. They do all kinds of things. They do like the sour creams, they do cream cheeses, they do a lot of things. But that one comes shredded. My favorite vegan cheese, I would say BioLife is my second, and then the number one is Cheyo cheese, but that one comes in blocks, so it's not shredded. But you can always just buy the block and use a cheese grater to shred that. Have you, during your vegan journey, have you tried any cheeses that you like? Or have you had a bad experience with those too?
You know, with some it's been a hit and miss. We tried, I think it was I don't remember if it was almond or cashew, but it's like a Greek cheese that's vegan. And pero está muy grasoso. It melted really well, but it was kind of gross looking because it was like gray. Like it was.
Oh, wow.
But what we do now is it's so delicious. So delicious, like shredded cheese. That's pretty good. And the chow cheese.
Cheyo is my favorite, yeah. Yeah, Delicious has really great products. I like their yogurts a lot.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But you know who has been, I don't know, do you guys, I mean, Kroger is national, so you guys have Kroger, right?
Not by me, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, I was like a very frequent Publix shopper, but where I've recently moved, like the easiest to access for me now is Kroger. I just need to run out and grab something quickly. That's my go-to now. And they've actually surprised me a lot. They've got I think it's Simple or Simple Life is their brand, but they have a lot of vegan products they're coming out with under that brand. And a lot of it is so much cheaper than the Cheyo and the BioLife and the vegan brands that you see. So what I've recently tried from them have been the salad dressings, and I've actually tried a vegan cheese that they just came out with under that brand, and it's really, really great. It actually melts fantastic.
Yeah, I need to go exploring more to other stores because we only go to the one. You go to the one that's nearest you, and then you're limited a lot of times.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, I get that. That's what I've been doing here at Kroger, and I've just been pleasantly surprised with them and what they're coming out with.
Yeah.
And they even have vegan instant noodles. It's not under their brand, but that's one that I usually would only be able to find occasionally at Asian farmers markets, but now I have it right across from me at the Kroger.
Yeah.
All right. So my tortillas are pretty much warmed up, so I'm going to go ahead and we're going to make our tacos. So like I said, these are the bigger tortillas. So you'll get about 4 tacos out of this, but if you use a smaller tortilla, you can do more, or you can just double up the recipe if you're cooking for your familia. Go ahead and have that. We're gonna assemble our tacos. I don't know about you guys, but I love mine with a ton of cilantro and cebolla. The more the better. Got our tacos there. And I've got cilantro, cebolla, limon, and some avocado to throw on my tacos. Go ahead and assemble those. Are you assembling yours, Margarita, or you're all at that step?
Yeah, I literally just finished. And I'm so excited to try this, but here's my taco.
Did you
Maybe
add
all fancy.
Yeah, you added the serrano peppers, right? You said you got.
I did, yeah. I added serranos, 2 serranos.
Awesome.
Actually, I already tasted it. It's really good. I couldn't resist while it was in the pan.
I'm telling you, that smell is really great. And this is a recipe you can make on spot, or if you wanted to marinate overnight, you can even do that and add like a little bit of orange. But yeah, you've got your mushroom asada tacos there. Very filling and super, super amazing. I'm also gonna add our salsa. Can't forget that. How'd you like the salsa?
I mean, it's super good.
Yeah. Yeah, this salsa, you can, I mean, anything. For chilaquiles, the only thing I would take out, or for enchiladas or chilaquiles, the only thing I would take out is the cilantro. Otherwise, you can use that recipe for a bunch of different things.
The first time we ordered tacos from you, my partner basically, after we ate, just kept eating the salsa just with radishes.
Uh-huh. I love it. Yeah, I've had people ask me to like sell it in jars, and I'm like, dude, you can easily make this at home. It's the easiest salsa to make, and it's so, so great. So yeah, so now you know how to make it. But yeah, if you guys have any other questions?
Should we do like a group bite or something?
A group trying it?
Coño, was I supposed to wait?
Wait, what?
Was I supposed to wait? Because like bad news, I definitely have already bitten it.
It's okay.
Sí pasan.
Mm-mm.
Yep, that's your asada tacos. The mushroom. I am. I've been so busy with VEGANX lately, getting me back into the groove of events, but I'm gonna try to write up some more recipes and share on there with you guys. Easy things like this that you can do for the family and yourself.
This is great. Hey, Brian and Margarita, will we be doing more of these?
If you guys are very fond of this like style of comidita, I mean, obviously, so if you've been with Tequeria for a while, you know our previous style of like cafecito, comidita, like hangout was mostly in person and chapter to chapter. But with everything being super virtual, we've been looking at things like this as a new format. So if this is something you're particularly fond of, we can definitely pass that feedback along. I know Brian and I have been, or I've been very fond of this. This is my second event with Yvonne, and she's a wonder to work with. So yeah, I think we're open to it for sure. If there are like vegan chefs or even just like Latino chefs that you're interested in seeing, definitely hit us up. You can reach me at margarita@tequeria.org. And we can certainly see if this is something we can arrange more of.
I'll send you a list.
I vote yes.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely
I vote
hit
yes
the list.
Like, I'm like, wait, maybe we can do tamales. Like, I'm.
Yeah, we were actually talking about that before we came on.
That'll
That
be
would require a little bit of more time, but yes.
all day.
I'll share that with you.
Yvonne definitely knows I love a tamal. That's actually what first brought me to Yvonne.
Yes.
It was a friend of mine bought some of her tamales, and I was like, tell me everything, because the rest of the tamales that I had tried in Atlanta were trash. Not trash, that's harsh. Just very, very American and very dry. Sorry, let me backpedal on that. I just did not enjoy them as much. So if you have any like chefs, definitely send them, email us.
You guys are in Slack, right?
Yes,
Oh,
we are on Slack. So if you're in our Slack, you can also just Slack me. Margarita Caraballo. I don't know if there are other Margaritas. I'm used to being the only one, but I don't actually know if that's true.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed this, and I'm gonna keep up with taquerias. Do you guys usually post this on your Instagram, or is it on your website usually?
So we post on Twitter, Instagram, as well as events.tequeria.org for any event either like this or industry events or networking events. You'll find them through all of our social media as well as events.tequeria.org.
Love it. Awesome. I'm definitely going to be keeping up.
And if y'all missed it earlier, I dropped, Yvonne is at VEGANX ATL on Instagram. You should definitely give her a follow, especially if you make any of these later, tag her on your pictures if you post them to your Instagram. Thank you so much to Yvonne for joining us this evening. Does anyone have any additional questions for Yvonne, Brian, or myself?
No, I just think this is awesome. I love this. And I'm looking forward to any more VEGANX or just cooking workshops. That'll be great.
Awesome.
I enjoyed it a lot as well, so thank you so much again to Taqueria for having me and VEGANX be a part of this.
Thank you, Yvonne, and thank you for everyone who joined us tonight. If you need to rewatch this, if you didn't get to cook along with us, it'll be on Tequeria's YouTube forever, I guess, as long as the internet is a thing. It'll be up on there, so feel free to share it or refer to it again later.
Thank you and enjoy.
Thank you all.
Bye.
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 Night.